cool flamenco technique that you hear in some of those flamenco forms that are in free time, kind of a fluttery little dramatic effect. And learning how to do this can be our entryway into playing fast flamenco tremolo. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do this, and we're going to use that Beatles song to help us get there. What tremolo is basically a note that gets repeated several times in a row. It's very often a melody, and we have two main ways to do it. There are many ways, but usually you see classical tremolo, which is your thumb, which is not part of the tremolo actually, ring finger, middle, and index. That's a group of four. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, like that. Or we can do flamenco tremolo, which is a group of 5, a quintuplet, and we insert our index right after the thumb, and we have this. P-I-A-M-I. As you can imagine, it's not super easy to get really fast at that. You have to really practice a lot, put a lot of time in. And we're trying to sustain those notes over a long period of time. Usually when you see tremolo, it's not a brief thing. It's kind of, you might have an entire song that's tremolo, like Recuerdos. Generally played with classical tremolo. But there's a technique strategy we can use called speed bursts that can help us get to the point where we're sustaining speed over long periods of time. Think of the technique picado for a minute, which is index and middle rest stroke. It takes a long time to get fast at that. You got to practice, practice, practice. But if we can practice going like this and playing little bursts, that can be a really great trainer for us, and we can start adding a couple notes, give ourselves a moment to rest, and then over time we can start to sustain it better. So this is the technique we're going to learn here. So what it is flamenco tremolo starting after the thumb. So what we have is any chord that you want. Let's just take an A minor chord. And what often happens is we play a note on top, a little melody note, might move the note around on top of a static chord. And we go like this: index free stroke, ring finger free stroke, middle finger free stroke, index again, and immediately down with the thumb. So we're going I, A, M, I, thumb. That's the motion. What we want to be able to do later on is go really fast like this. But if this is new to you, let's slow down and play a Beatles song to help us get into this. So the chorus to With a Little Help from My Friends by the Beatles is a D chord, then an A chord, and an E chord. The melody is going to go a lot of E notes happening in there. Here's what we're going to do. We go G sharp, and then we play a D chord, and then we take this middle finger off. Now for a moment here we have D sus2, and here's where we do the tremolo. The D chord's still ringing out, and then when your thumb strikes the strings, we're on an A chord right there. So we go G sharp, F sharp on the D chord. There's our flutter tremolo, and then strum down on A. Now here we can hit any fingers you want to play these two E notes again, or strum it, and then strum down on an E chord. So we have, I get by with a little help from my friends. It's really like an interrupted tremolo, or one blast or burst of a tremolo. So we go. If you want the full tab for this and all my courses, all my tutorials and community and all kinds of great stuff for nylon string guitar, check out my monthly membership below. What can also help us work on speed is the idea of planting. So do this. Play the index, the ring, the middle, the index again, but try to create silence in between every note by getting early to the string with the next fingers. So I'm going to play my index, immediately kill it with the ring. I'm going to play the ring finger, kill it with the middle finger plays, kill it with the index, like that. If we can get that staccato effect, that really is the key to speed. And then when I do it fast, I'm going. Now here in this particular technique that we're doing, it's usually accompanied by a chord, or a chord happens with it. So if you hit more than one string like this, almost like a reverse rasgueo, kind of sounds good. But we're shooting for the most part, if we can, to hit just the high E string in this case. So do this with any chord that you can think of. Once you get comfortable with this, of course, work on real flamenco tremolo, which begins with the thumb. It's the same thing though. So what happened here was flamenco tremolo starting on the index, but everything else is in the same order because we ended on the thumb. But usually we're going to begin on the thumb on a downbeat like this. I think we should always be on the lookout for places that we can insert our nylon string guitar techniques into, especially popular songs, guitar riffs from any style, heavy metal or rockabilly or whatever. Because if we do that, we're likely to practice our techniques a lot more because it's something that's memorable, fun to play, as opposed to maybe some boring drill that's hard to remember. Once you have this technique on your fingers, the next step is to sustain this tremolo technique over long periods of time. So if you go to this video, we'll talk about ways to play the real tremolo.